Hello everybody, I'm Elwirfy and today we're playing some more Stories from Seoul, the Gun Dog. In the in-between of the episodes, the captain is going to be given a small break, and then we should be able to sally on forth. Thankfully, the area you'd emerged into has plenty of cover if you need to hide in a hurry, and isn't incredibly obvious to anyone approaching it. I'm sorry, Lieutenant, but the vibrations in that crawlway didn't particularly agree with me. You quickly realized that although you'd been fine, the captain, who you know had been drinking for quite some time before you found her quarters, must be suffering from the effects of the vibrations coupled with the liquid lunch. Well, if she's hungover or something, or drunk, I could see that. Oh, it's no problem, ma'am. You offer her your hand this time, and the captain takes it, stepping up onto the grating. The engineering department? This isn't our intended destination, is it, Lieutenant? Well, no, Captain. I'm still trying to figure out how we get there. What if we went to the central computer? Lieutenant, does this take us where we need to be going? Not exactly, ma'am. Understood. Oh, okay. Let's go to the engines. Lieutenant Wirfs, I thought we were in agreement where we were going. How exactly we'll go in there achieve that? Okay. Fine. After affair. Is there something there which will come in useful, Lieutenant? Not exactly, no, I was just... Actually, it's not important. Did we just talk? I'm confused. Maybe just talk. As wonderful it is to experience the freedom of the ship, Lieutenant, shouldn't we be making our way to the sick bay? Yes, ma'am, you're right. Okay. Let's get moving then, shall we? Okay, I'm confused. So, we're back here, right? And I was thinking, this is where we need to go. Because we're back here, and the sick bay is right there, because that says life support. Is this not the way? I mean, I guess... Back to the crawlways, I guess. Can we... Are we supposed to move to the airlock? No, but maybe the hangar. As you head towards the hangar, you're mindful to warn the captain of the point in the crawlway which leaves gravity's net area of effect. Although you assure her that you want to make sure that it doesn't launch herself into the tunnels, you're also acutely aware of the impact of the shifting gravity can have on someone's stomach contents. With the amount of Europa's special blend that the captain had drunk, you didn't want to risk her being caught off guard, especially when you've been needing to head back through the tunnels at some point. Eventually, you reach the hatch that opens into the hangar without incident. Carefully observing the area as you slowly open it until you're satisfied that the only crew member present is Dalton, and that he's completely oblivious to your presence. The hangar, Lieutenant? That's right, ma'am. Isn't there any particular reason that we're here? I thought we were heading to the sick bay. Am I missing something? We are, I just... Okay. Am I dumb? I don't understand. So let's talk to the captain. Are we still on our way to the sick bay, Lieutenant? If so, it seems we may have overshot. I'm working on it, ma'am. Okay. I see. Well, I suppose it can't be helped. It would be unfair for me to expect you to be completely familiar with these crawlways, especially as this is my ship and I can't say I know much better. Just get us to that sick bay sooner than later, Lieutenant. It's where the doctor was keeping the rest of my whiskey. Was that a joke? Okay, I guess we're going back. Can we not go here? Lieutenant Wirfs, I thought we were in agreement. Okay. Okay, back to the crawlways. I don't know. What the... Do we go to the airlock? I'm like so confused. Where the hell are we supposed to go? Sitting back on your hands and knees, you move towards the tunnel. They know it leads to the airlock, although it's not a direct way to the sick bay. From the crawlways you're currently in, it's the closest point you're able to get to that you know of. Oh, okay, great. Making your way through the tunnels, you keep pausing to check that the captain is still close behind you, quietly warning her of the upcoming turns necessary. Eventually, you find yourself at the same dead end you'd encountered earlier. It takes a few seconds, but you locate the lever on the underside of the hatch and twist it, releasing the catch. Slowly, you push the hatch open, peering through the small gap to see if there's anyone about. Satisfied that the room is clear, you open the hatch and completely climb out of the crawlway, turning around and wait for the captain to appear and offering your hand once she does, helping her into the room. Well, Lieutenant, I have to say that this isn't a method of traversing the ship I'd ever expected to get familiar with. Me either, ma'am. From what I have heard about your exploits today, it seems that you're certainly becoming an expert on alternate ways to get around the Gundog. Are you sure you're happy in security? I'd be more than willing to recommend you to the engineering department once this is all over. As you see the wry smile on the captain's face, you furrow your brow slightly. You'd only served under Captain Bartimeus for a few days, but she'd definitely not come across as a woman with much of a sense of humor. Because of this, you find it difficult to tell whether this query was genuine, mocking, or friendly banter. You're also too mentally exhausted to deal with any social complexities with much finesse, so instead you turn away from the captain and slowly walk towards the corridor connecting the airlock to the central hub. Honestly, Captain, I'm not enjoying this much, so no, not really. Staying close to the wall in case you need to duck behind around a corner should anyone walk by, you look out into the central hub and you can't see anyone, but there's the sound of Hansen and Haru's conversation is faintly audible. With a sigh, you rub the bridge of your nose. You'd made it this far, but you still need to figure out a way to get past them. Is something the matter, Lieutenant? Shouldn't we be continuing on? You cross your arms and look back over your shoulder towards the central hub. The elevators are right there, but from the sound of it, Hansen and Haru are pretty much stood in the four-side thoroughfare. If we were to just walk into the central hub, we'd be spotted for sure. We're not going anywhere unless they leave. We may need to find a different way in. Well, Lieutenant Wirfs, I've got quite the easy solution to that. Oh, really? With a mischievous grin that catches you off guard, the captain reaches into her jacket and draws the revolver that you had admonished her for possessing earlier. Captain, no! Actually, I don't mind. In an instant, you close the distance between you, grabbing the wrist of the hand that holds the revolver and yanking the weapon away. Damn it. Captain, damn it. If we can't... give that back, Lieutenant. You still have the captain's one wrist in hand, but with your other free arm, she claws at you in an attempt to get the gun. Captain, be quiet! Give me my gun! Damn it. Decocking the revolver and shoving it into the back of your waistband, grab the captain by the wrist and draw her towards you, clamping your hand over her mouth. Captain, please, calm down. You hiss into her ear as she struggles against you. Captain, please, I need you to calm down. The weapons Hansen and Haru have could blow us away before you could even get a single shot in. Remember, we're trying to win them over, not take this ship back by force. That's a fight we can't win. Can I let you go now? Yeah? Okay. With the captain still subdued, you look back over your shoulder to see if you can hear anyone coming. Fortunately, there's no sound of footsteps or approaching voices. It seems that a combination of the distance between you and the four-side thoroughfare alongside the background noise of the ship did enough to make the captain's outburst inaudible to the ensigns. Okay? Alright, just please be quiet, Captain, please. Releasing your hold on her waist and taking your palm from her mouth, you step back. I'll have you know, Lieutenant, that laying hands upon a senior officer like that is a serious offense. You bite your tongue, not wanting to respond with a comment about how it's lucky for you that she's no longer your senior officer. You don't want to risk any more unpredictable outbursts. I'm sorry, ma'am, but part of my training is to disarm any party with unauthorized weapon at the earliest opportunity. Well, I suppose I should be commending you for acting on your training so rapidly. Thank you, Captain. You don't mention that wrestling a weapon away from someone is an approach only used when you think there's imminent risk to the armed crew member or others around them, and that the normal procedure is to try and de-escalate the situation first. Yeah, we're hiding that knowledge. You can't imagine the captain taking that piece of judgment well. Yeah, I think we should keep that to ourselves. If you don't feel that the direct approach is our best option, what would you recommend we do next, Lieutenant? You turn back to the corridor, looking towards the central hub. Your current objective is to get to the sick bay, that is certain. But currently, the two ensigns were effectively in between you and where you needed to be. You couldn't just walk over to the elevators. There's no way that you could sneak by, and direct confrontation wasn't an option. As far as you knew, there were no crawlways you could to access that would take you directly to the sickbay either. Hansen and Haru needed to be dealt with, but how? There's no other way. We need to get the two ensigns out of the Forsyth thoroughfare. Okay. Without resorting to violence. What we need is... Oh god. Do we want a spacewalk? Let's try an alternate way in. That sounds funner. We need to find a different way in. There's no way to get there via the elevators right now. Maybe we could explore the crawlways some more, see if we can find a different way. Lieutenant? Captain? For someone who acts so decisively one moment, it is quite something that you can be so hesitant about the next. Oh, the problem is clear. She locks her eyes with you, and you're once again stunned by the sudden conviction you can see in the chilling blue of her gaze. The murky wateriness that had been there moments before, a constant tell of her drunkenness, had been replaced by an almost crystalline hard edge. We need to get to the sickbay, but the ensigns are in the way. Therefore, the solution is to simply move the ensigns. But if we cannot do that through negotiation or force, then it needs to be done through deception. There's no point in attempting to navigate the labyrinth of those crawlways further when there's such an obvious means to do this in front of us. Wait, what the fuck is this? Maybe I missed it before, but you've totally taken away my agency. Unless, like... is there a good reason why we couldn't keep exploring the crawlways? This seems weird, so we're gonna have to do the distraction anyway. It seems like my choice didn't matter much. That's the first time I've said this whole playthrough, but like... I feel really railroaded right now. Ma'am, what do you mean? What is currently the biggest threat to the ship? Well, that'd be... I don't even know what that machine is. It's Vanessa. Yeah. I'd say it's currently Lieutenant Lord, ma'am. With what she's doing. Yeah. No, she means the machine in the hangar. Yeah, the machine in the hangar is totally subdued. It's not a threat. I understand why you'd say that, Lieutenant, but I'm thinking of a much more immediate threat. Oh. You mean that machine in the hangar? Wait, so why do you think the machine is a bigger threat? Exactly. The ensigns may have been assigned to guard us, but I'm sure that if something were to happen in the hangar, they'd have a good sense to attend to it. Don't you agree? Yes, ma'am, I see where you're coming from. Good. A distraction in the hangar it is. Alright then, Lieutenant. Let's, you stay here and wait for the signal. I'll be sure to make it suitably obvious. Wait, Captain, you can't go alone. Why not, Lieutenant? You pause for a moment, knowing full well that you can't respond with your concerns about how drunk she is and how she makes her own potential liability which needs to be monitored. I just think we need to stick together. If we get separated, then we can't help each other out when something goes wrong. It's too risky. Whilst I appreciate the concern, I believe I'm more than capable of handling myself. But we haven't agreed on the distraction either. Believe it or not, Lieutenant Wirfs, I'm able to make quite the fuss when the need arises. I can manage perfectly well on my own. Besides that, if my distraction doesn't keep the ensign's attention for long, then I don't want to waste all our time returning from the hangar to this airlock. At least one of us needs to be ready to take immediate advantage of it. As much as you want to argue, your last point in particular is good in that you'd make yourself if you'd not been preoccupied with her condition. The captain's resolve was plain to see, and you could tell there was no use in dragging out this argument. All right, I'll wait here. Very good, Lieutenant. With that, the captain heads back to the hatch, leading into the crawlway, and with continuously surprising elegance, she lowers herself down into the tunnel. As she crawls out of view, you lower the hatch behind her until it slots into place, becoming flush with the floor around it. For the next 20 minutes, you do your best to wait patiently until there's some sign of the captain's distraction, but your restlessness leads you pacing back and forth in the area of the room out of view of the corridor. Eventually, you begin to wonder if the captain's either got lost in the crawlways or has been caught. Oh. As much as you want to lead her into the tunnels yourself, you resist. Knowing your luck, the captain would start her distraction just when you traveled far enough to not be able to return in time. Although you can't go through the tunnels to check, you realize that you can see if Hansen and Haru are both still present. If they are, then she must be safe. You can't imagine Dalton having the courage to apprehend the captain, even if he thinks she is a traitor. You stand by the entrance into the corridor that links to the central hub and listen out for the two pilots. In the distance, you can still hear the casual back and forth between Hansen and Haru. As tense as it makes you to know that the two people who have high probability of shooting you on sight are so close, it's also reassuring that if they're both there, it means the captain has remained undetected. Looking down at your watch, you see the seconds and minutes count down. You can't help but wonder where she is. Your thoughts of tug-of-war begin trusting her and staying here or going to find her. With a sigh, you look back towards the hatch. At this point, it's been too long. You'll have to... Wow, that's a big noise. You're thrown forward as the ship shakes around you, only avoiding falling by grabbing onto the wall. Captain, what the hell have you? Above you, a speaker crackles to life as an announcement is carried over the ship's intercom system. Oh, it's so loud. Hold on. This is Captain Lord. I want all hands to the hangar. I repeat, this is Captain Lord. All hands are to report to the hangar on the double. Now. The sound of Vanessa's panicked anger echoes through the ship at the same time as the announcement sounds from the loudspeaker along the entire length of the thoroughfares. You hear the two engines exchange some quick words before the sound of their boots ring out against the steel flooring, letting you know they're heading out of the hangar. Holy shit, that's loud as fuck. You begin to creep down the corridor towards the elevators, stopping short of entering the central hub as you hear another crew member approaching from the aft thoroughfare. Ducking down by the wall to your right, you watch as the chief sprints by, muttering angrily to herself. As she heads away towards the hangar, you make a break for the elevator door, slamming down the call button. Come on, come on, come on. You repeatedly tap the button, thankful that due to the emergency nature, the sickbay doesn't need you to swipe your keycard to access it, instead relying simply on the bioscan log to whoever enters. Let's go already, let's go, let's go. As the door begins to open, you immediately slip through the gap, hitting the door close button as soon as you're inside. Oh my god, I apologize so much for how loud that was. If I was too quiet, I hope you just read the words on screen. But I think that added to the intention a little bit, that I was kind of reading as the loud sounds were going on. With a sigh of relief, you can lean back against the cool metal wall and feel yourself begin to move downwards. You can't allow yourself too long to relax as you begin to think about what exactly the captain had done in the hangar to create her distraction. I bet she freed the machine. As you feel the elevator's descent slow, you stand up and sigh. Hopefully whatever what it was hadn't damaged the ship too badly. You survey the elevator for any indication that what the captain had done had damaged the ship. Thankfully, the emergency lighting hadn't come on and everything seemed to be operating as intended. Shrugging inwardly, you shield your eyes as the doors open and expose you to the harsh glare of the sickbay lights. For now, you just have to trust her. You emerge slowly and silently into the sickbay, scanning the room as soon as your eyes have adjusted to the light. At first glance, you don't see any sign of the attacker who knocked you out the last time you were here, but you're careful to check behind the doctor's desk as well as the other blind spots within the room. Once you're confident there's no one else in here with you, your shoulders drop and you release the tension that you'd been carrying. Without any obvious threat, you take your time going over the room. Everything was as you'd remembered it being. No one had even gotten into the effort of cleaning up the shattered glass that was covered on the floor in front of the medicine cabinets. You take a small amount of solace in the fact that if you were lucky, it meant that everything else in the room had been left alone too, including any evidence that might absolve Cassie or the captain. Okay, where to begin? There's no one to talk to. Just double checking. Fuck, screw looking. Start with the desk. The doctor's desk. It's probably my best bet of finding something useful. Moving around to the side where where Dr. Rosarium typically sat, you're relieved to find that the drawers are unlocked. You take a thick pile of files out of the top one and begin flicking through them, looking for anything useful. There's got to be something here, you think, but there's a huge number of documents within the stack of folders that you've taken more than you could easily skim through. After a few minutes, you place them down on the table and try the second drawer. This time a smile crosses your face as you pull out the doctor's datapad. Ah, there we go. Jackpot! Pulling a sickbay note off the screen and placing it back in the drawer, you took the device out and inspected, looking for the power button. You find and flick the switch on the back of the datapad, watching the screen slowly illuminate as the device comes to life, the sound of a drive within it beginning to spin, letting you know it's functional. Alright, I bet this will have all the information I need. Oh shit. Your elation is immediately wiped away from your face when you read the login prompt. Oh, come on! You place the datapad onto your desk alongside a pile of files and sit down on the doctor's chair, placing your head in your hands. You had no expectation that this endeavor would be so easy, but you'd been hoping that at the very least it would have been simple, right? Unfortunately, that did not look like it would be the case. After taking a few moments to silently fume at the challenges that were being thrown your way, you realize there's nothing you can do but move forward. This can't be it. There's got to be something I can do. With a long exhalation, you stand up, looking around the sickbay. You'd come this far, you weren't going to give up yet. Maybe the surgical stuff? The next door leading to the surgery wing is a standard security terminal featuring a screen, a number pad, and a card reader. You give the glass of the door a light tap with your knuckles, and the dull knock you hear lets you know that this glass is extremely thick, likely reinforced. Without some serious firepower, there's no way you could get in there right now. Not even the revolver you'd taken from the captain would cut it. Alright, we'll go here. You pick up a few scattered boxes of medication bottles and place them on the counter. You review each one in turn, finding them still completely sealed and with no obvious relationship between them. This one's for blood pressure, these are sleeping pills, some of these are antidepressants. The only factor in common is that this looks like they were all yanked out to get to what was behind them, which could be... You peer into the back of the cupboard where all you can see is an empty cardboard tray with a product name printed on it. NutriShake Max. Nutritional alternative, 10 by 2 kilograms. Okay. If someone wanted a shake mix, I'm sure they could have just asked. Okay, let's look at the beds, I guess. Heading over to the emergency beds, you do a quick visual review that doesn't reveal anything unusual. Despite this, you take some extra time to go over them, peering into all the little nooks and crannies where the padded top joins the frame. You pay careful attention, looking for any useful markings or damage or signs that someone else may have been around them, aside from Cassie and the doctor. Unfortunately, the only thing you can find that would be considered out of the ordinary is an empty chocolate bar wrapper stuffed under the pillow alongside a few crumbs on the covering. You didn't need to be an expert tracker to know who had been here. Performing one final investigation, you check under the beds and notice a familiar purple wrapper. You got another canned chocolate bar? Oh, this must have dropped down when they took her away. Don't worry, Cassie. I'll get this to you soon. Running your hands back through your hair, you pace from one side of the room to the other. As far as you could tell, there was no obvious proof that Cassie had been the doctor's murderer, but you can't find any proof on the contrary either. At this rate, you wouldn't be able to find anything, and there was every chance that you'd left the sick bay, the ensigns would have returned to their positions outside the crew quarters. Had you risked all this for nothing? For nothing? Before you can dwell on that thought, you hear the elevator whir into life, letting you know that within the next few seconds, someone will be entering the room. With no time to spare, you decide to hide. You look around the room in desperation for somewhere to conceal yourself so that you can either stay unnoticed by whoever enters or get the drop on them if necessary. Right, that's smarter. With the surgery wing locked in emergency beds, nothing more than suspended platforms, you're left with one option. Just as the door slides open, you dive behind the desk, trying to tuck yourself into whatever little space there is underneath it. Remaining as quiet as you can, you listen to the sound of footsteps crossing the room towards your position. The footsteps move from the elevator into the sickbay and pause briefly before carrying on towards your hiding spot. You hear the sound of someone leafing through the files you'd left on the desk, stopping after a minute or so, and then heading towards the medicine cabinets. From your limited view, you're able to make out that whoever it is in the room with you is wearing a pair of heels and sheer tights and a skirt, making it one of two people. You cautiously creep out from under the desk, preparing to assault the room's other occupant from behind if necessary. Fortunately, as soon as you leave the desk, you see that the woman facing away from you is wearing a leather jacket, and the back of which is half covered by a cascade of honey blonde hair. Captain! Hey! Better than shooting her when she walks in. That's what I was worried about, like it might be her. You just managed to dodge the open palm that swings towards you, but only just. The step you take to evade it causes you to trip on the carton of tables, and you stagger backwards, catching yourself on the doctor's desk. Captain, it's me! Damn it, Worth. What exactly do you think you're doing sneaking up on me like that? Sorry, ma'am. I was just hiding in case one of the ensigns had come in. Well, I'd appreciate it if you were more overt in the future. I don't want to have to keep my eyes peeled for you as well as the rest of the crew. Understood, ma'am. So, Lieutenant, I hope that your investigation has been fruitful. I'd hate for what happened in the hangar just now to have been for nothing. Well, you trail off. Aside from an inaccessible datapad, you didn't have anything to show for whatever chaos the captain had caused. I've managed to find the doctor's datapad, but apart from that, I can't get into the surgery wing to check over his body, and there's nothing in this room that sheds any light on what happened. The information on the datapad should be more than enough. What does it say? You clear your throat as you pick the device up from the desk and pass it to the captain. I haven't been able to log into it, ma'am. There's no sign of his keycard, no indication that he wrote his password down anywhere? No, ma'am. What about these files on the desk? Nothing useful that I've seen, but I've not checked them thoroughly. Remaining silent, the captain pulls the chair out from underneath the desk and sits in it, placing her head into her hands. So that's no progress on the investigation, Lieutenant Wirfs. That's right, Captain. You hear a long, drawn-out sigh before the captain lowers her hands onto the desk and looks up. In that case, I'll carry on through these documents. In case any of them are relevant, I want you to take another look around the room. Hopefully there's something you've overlooked. Yes, ma'am. Anything, Captain? With a groan, the captain places the sheet currently in her hand back in the stock and pinches the bridge of her nose. Not unless Miss Quinn's innocence can be proven by using old prescription logs or historic case notes from other postings. And what about yourself, Lieutenant? I was just going to check in the drawers in the desk, if you don't mind. Certainly, be my guest. As the captain shifts to the right of the desk, you reach beneath and open the first drawer. Aside from some loose electrical plugs and wires, it's empty now that you've taken out all the files. You move on to the one underneath which you'd originally taken the datapad out of, and notice the sticky note that you'd previously peeled off the screen. Could it be that easy? Please. You temper your expectations as you read what's been written. Device asks me to press any key to continue. Ask Kathy's location of any key not visible on my keyboard. The doctor cannot be serious. What's that, Lieutenant? Wordlessly, you pass the captain the note, and her eyes on the writing of the edges of her lips curl upward slightly. That's Dr. Rosarium for you. Literal to a fault. Still, I suppose he was just ensuring he was compliant about following instructions. Unlucky for us that he couldn't have been a bit more relaxed about cybersecurity. You stand in front of the closed doorway to the surgery wing and tap on the frosted glass. You knew the glass is used, the same kind of what was used in the window on the bridge, and would be pretty much impenetrable to conventional weapons, let alone if you had what you had at your disposal. Oh. While you've not been able to find the doctor's keypad with... hold on. Could your keycard do it? With a smug sense of satisfaction, you swipe out the card through the terminal next to the door and wait for it to open. Instead, you're met with a harsh series of digital tones. Insufficient authority. Figures. Your eyes linger on the terminal for a few more seconds as you think about everything you'd gone through in the past few days involving bypassing these devices or doors attached to them. Captain, just a quick question. You look over to see the captain with a stack of papers in one hand and the other hand rubbing her temples. She looks every bit as frustrated as you feel. There's no way to bypass these terminals without a card, is there? Placing the paper down, the captain swivels in her chair to face you. What do you mean? I was just thinking. There's no manual override or something? No special captain's code that the rest of the crew don't know about? The captain continues to stare at you, filling you with a vague sense of unease, as you can't quite tell what the expression on her face means. Is it disdain, or is she... With a start, she stands up from her chair and approaches the terminal. You're stood by. You quickly step aside as she grabs it with both hands, drumming her long nails into the sides of the unit. Well, after a brief pause, she begins to pull on the terminal, stopping for a moment to work her nails underneath the ridge and runs around the edges of the screen, then continuing. After a minute or so of fruitlessly yanking at the device's casing, the captain stops and turns to you. I don't suppose you happen to have something I could use to pry this open, do you, Lieutenant? Oh, yeah, perfect. Thank you. You pass the screwdriver to Captain Bartomuse and continue to observe in silence as she works its tip between the gap and the terminal's casing. Brilliant, guys. With a sharp snapping sound, the screen comes away in her hands, remaining connected to the main body of the unit connected to the main body of the unit by a long ribbon cable. They use these same terminals at the Academy. If you wanted to sneak out, you needed to learn how to get around them. You smile awkwardly at the captain's brazen display of pride in her ability to get around the security device. In all your time as security officer, you'd never seen anyone break so many rules. More than that, you'd never seen anyone be so good at not getting caught. So is that it? Will the door open now? Were you expecting it to be that easy, Lieutenant? Well, get over here. Oh shit, what am I looking at, Captain? It's a simple mechanism, a combination of digital and physical security. When the computer detects the correct clearance on the keycard, these nodes will redirect the necessary power to lock the disengaging unit. Can you get around and physically by rotating them to divert power to the door, letting you open it without needing a card? Oh, right. Is there a problem, Lieutenant? I just didn't realize this was these security terminals were so easy to bypass. Why are we using something like this? Years ago, the JUCF used to manufacture and export these. They overproduced them, and and once a better security system was created, there were masses of them left over. We all know the JUCF adage, waste not, want not. I guess that makes sense. Well, get to it. Yes, Captain. If you got any experience with these, can't you do it? Lieutenant? Yeah, ma'am? I don't wish to give you any cause for concern, but I don't think I'm in a fit state to adjust the electronics right now. Right, of course. Wait, does that mean this is dangerous? Okay, so we'll play this little game in the next episode, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've been enjoying so far. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, guys, I'm Elwirfy, and I will definitely see you all next time.